你觉得藏传佛教的一些修行啊，还有一些理论啊，这些方面对西方人来讲有什么帮助？那么藏传佛教是跟其他佛教，包括南传佛教、北传佛教是一样的吗？或者说有比较不同的呢？你为什么要选择学藏传佛教
？My practice is rooted in two traditions, actually, because we talk about Tibetan Buddhism. I would talk about Himalayan Buddhism, because there is still a living Sanskrit tradition. They are Vajrayana, and they are very close to the Nyingma Buddhists, but these are the people that I first studied with. I think Mahayana is, without wishing to offend a number of my friends who are not Mahayana, I think it's the only sensible form of Buddhism. You have to start with that. The fundamental altruism of the Buddha's teaching finds its fruit in Mahayana Buddhism. Then, within that, we have Vajrayana Buddhism. And the Sanskrit texts say, as do the Tibetan texts, that Vajrayana is a set of special techniques within Mahayana. So the fundamental basis for all of this is Mahayana Buddhism. But Vajrayana, the special techniques and the extraordinary developments around introspection, meditative practices, that only really developed in late Indian Himalayan Buddhism. So I think Mahayana Buddhism is the natural expression of Buddhism. It's unselfish, it's generous, it's social. And that's what Buddhism should be. And to be honest, and this would make them grumpy, but a lot of my friends who are Theravada practitioners, I think actually they behave like good Mahayanists because they care a lot about the people around them. They act for the sake of all sentient beings, even though they say they're not Mahayana. But they might not like to hear that. Then Vajrayana within that reaches its highest development with first the Sanskrit tradition, the Drupchen, the Mahasiddhas, and the tradition that follows on from that, almost entirely in Tibet, but still a little bit in Nepal. And I think that's where the most powerful tools are. That's where the highest realization of this altruism is. That's where the most mature manifestation of compassion is. So it's the obvious choice. Right now, well, no, go back 100 years. It's very easy to say, this is Tibetan Buddhism, this is Zen, right? This is Chan, this is, right, grey robe, red robe, right? 100 years ago, you could make that distinction very sharply. 1,000 years ago, that distinction didn't exist. And especially among the Tibetan schools, it was the Nyingma that worked very closely with Chan to develop really powerful, single-pointed concentration techniques. And I think now it's wonderful to see these traditions in conversation again, in part because Zen has a very good sense of humor.
I didn't quite get the last sentence.
I think the conversation that's starting to happen again now between the Tibetan traditions and the Zen traditions, the Chan traditions, it's a really good conversation because what Zen brings to that is a sense of humor. Zen understands in a way that I don't think any other Buddhist tradition understands, that sometimes what you need to break through to enlightenment is a good joke.